All right, feet, part 2. So looking at tissue health is sort of an entirely different angle on foot care. And so there are 2 different types of proprioception, really, in a very simplified model. So what happens is that the joints in all of our bodies, but particularly in our ribs, spine, neck, and feet, all of these joints have position sensors. So they really help our brains when you look at certainly performance, of course, but even in the very basic and pedestrian contexts of avoiding falling, just being able to walk on totally unstable ground without any incidents. A lot of the proprioception in your foot joints is really essential. So if your mobility is very poor, if you don't have a lot of motion here, your brain doesn't have the same sized antenna for that information. So your motion sense from the joint is dampened or buffered a lot, which means you're operating at a half a tank or half mast, as it were. And separately, but in the same vein, you also have pressure sensors. So your soft tissues, having nothing to do whether this joint is moving, the fact that I can press into my foot and that my tissues register the pressure sense and send that to my brain, like, ooh, you're stepping on a rock at a place where you can't absorb it. Like, how quickly does that get up there? That is all very much a soft tissue, vascular and nervous health piece. It's not a mobility piece. But do you understand how both of them impact your ability to navigate, to ambulate at all, to be walking across the earth? So they're really, really important. And very separately from doing mobility work in the ankle and the foot, tissue care and tissue health is, unfortunately, it's kind of been relegated to God bless the partners giving foot massages to their partners. That is wonderful. And it's very, very healthy. It's also lovely to be connected in that way. However, people that don't have that as an option, or it's not part of their relational situation, or they live alone, being able to nourish and feed these tissues is really, really important. So whether it's a foot soak, that's great. It's really good for your tissues. Also, you have these compressions that I was talking about, and that's helpful for the joints for sure, especially if you're going to work in range of motion. But even without range of motion, just doing nice, gentle, firm, but gentle, that should feel good, nice compressions around your foot, squeezing and helping the tissues perfuse, so they're moving blood and lymph through the tissues, the actual tissues, not the joints, although it's helpful for joints too. So really being able to, it's almost like if you imagine you did like a big squat workout and your legs are really blown out. So you want to stretch your legs, you want to stretch out your quads in large part so that the muscles reset at an appropriate length and they don't tighten up as you heal from your workout. But also, it's really nice to sort of roll so that you can help get all the waste up and out of those tissues. Now that's helpful because these are prime moving muscles, but it's much more important for, you're not walking on your quads, you're walking on your feet. So you want all of these soft tissues to be very, very healthy and responsive and cared for and moisturized. The older we get, the more we lose all kinds of, our hyaluronic acid levels drop, and therefore our intracellular moisture tends to drop. Certainly our intercellular moisture as well. So whatever you can do to be moisturizing and inspecting your feet. Part of how diabetic injuries tend to happen is that we can't see the feet because we don't have this range of motion. We can't actually inspect. But how many people in their 70s live with one other person and nobody ever shows them their feet? If you can't see it, that's one thing, but if no one can see it, then how do you know that you don't maybe have a little bit of a cut here, or a little bit of a bruise, or there's some cracking going on, just some low level drying. But that's all not, it's not healthy tissue, and there's actually no reason for that. And this comes to like kind of the crux of this video. I was getting a pedicure from this Vietnamese woman locally. She's amazing. And she sort of went off on a rant that just suited me beautifully. I was like, oh my God, you're so right. So a pedicure is sort of, at least in this Western culture, I find it tends to be linked to kind of the more spa, more luxury, nice to have, and very aesthetic, right? We need to have I have sparkles on my toes and I love it. It makes me happy. But sparkles on my toes are not helping my feet be healthier. Like she said, 95% of a good pedicure is all about tissue health. It's about like they file, they inspect, they clean, they work, they massage, they exfoliate, they moisturize. And then you finish with some stuff. And it just really hit me that I had always made that sort of link in my head. This was a total luxury. It was like not a thing. And then I thought, oh my God, you're totally right. And I realized that, of course, why wouldn't she say this? Because she's a pedicurist. But clinically, there's no like holes in that bucket at all. That holds so much water because everyone, at least once a quarter, in my professional opinion, ought to get a good pedicure from somebody who's looking at and paying attention to their feet and their health. So like how much mobility are you getting? You get a good bit of mobility when you're getting a good pedicure. How much tissue perfusion and exfoliation and moisturization and all of the things. Just go get a pedi. You don't have to like change your whole life around loving your feet every other night or at least once a week for an hour kind of thing. You can just go and get a pedi with no polish if you don't want polish. So you're welcome. Thank you, Michelle. And again, would anyone have thought that a pedicure may be one of the most potent practices that we could adopt in order to save our proprioception and maintain our greatest integrity in walking without falling, having any incidents, anything like that? It's a big deal and it's so easy and it's not expensive. So please consider it. Your feet thank you. Thanks so much.